Hi there. The A to Z's of nutrition and health is here to equip you and help you feel great, look radiant, and live healthy. So here it is in a nutshell. Now I have to do this. I'm going to go ahead and do it and just say this right now. Here's my disclaimer. The information I'll be talking about today has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. It is based on my own personal research and experiences, and it is not intended to be used to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. This week, we are cracking the nutshell about blood pressure. In Monday's article, I promised that I would tell some more stories about blood pressure. Way back in 1985, my husband's doctor was wanting to add another blood pressure medication to the diuretic that he was already taking because his blood pressure was still hovering on the too high mark. It was just a little over the borderline hypertension. Larry's father had died from a stroke at age 61, so Larry was diagnosed with high blood pressure at about age 28, and we made the assumption that his problem was hereditary. His mother had also been on blood pressure medication for several years, so that was a double whammy for Larry. When the doctor was wanting to add the stronger or a second blood pressure medication, Larry started studying about blood pressure and more natural solutions. Back then, we didn't have the internet, and unfortunately, he had a wife who wasn't really into believing that vitamins made a difference in health. So his study was not necessarily easy. Yes, back then I believed my doctor when he told me that we really didn't need vitamins if we ate a healthy, balanced diet. I'm going to go on a little segue here. From about 1956 until 1992, the USDA suggested that we plan our meals from the basic 4 food groups. Do you remember what those 4 food groups were? I had to kind of reach back in my memory to get them. The first one was fruits and vegetables. And they were good sources of vitamins A and vitamin C. And a good source of fiber. We needed our fiber, or our roughage as it was sometimes called then. Every other day we were supposed to eat either a dark green or a deep yellow vegetable or a fruit. The second part of the food group was milk because it was a good source of calcium. And if I recall correctly, we needed to have 2 servings a day. Cheese, ice cream, or ice milk. Remember that delicious ice milk? Could replace 1 serving of milk. Even back then, I drank non-fat milk. Of course, that was from growing up on a ranch and drinking skim milk. So I didn't really like whole milk. But anyway, and then the rest of my family drank 2% milk. We used whole fat milk only on cereal. Now the third food group is included beef, poultry, fish, and eggs. Also dry beans. And back then we typically had pinto beans at least once a week. They were a cheap meal and healthy. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches were a staple lunchbox item, along with some kind of luncheon meat, usually bologna and cheese. The fourth food group was cereals and bread. Now, this group included cornmeal, macaroni, noodles, rice, spaghetti, and I even, in my own thinking, included potatoes in this group. Now, I thought we were eating a healthy diet. I was doing the very best I could to keep my family healthy with our diet. And I was totally convinced that taking vitamins was not worth the expense and the effort. Well, now back off my segue and back to Larry's research. He used to be a person that would sit down for a meal and he would reach for the salt and pepper shakers before he even tasted his food. Have you ever known anyone like that? So his first step was to stop reaching for the salt shaker at mealtime. Then he started taking a calcium supplement because he had heard it might be helpful. He also found out that garlic might help lower blood pressure. We started using garlic as a seasoning instead of adding very much salt during cooking. Now, it was about that time when we became involved with Neolife, which is a nutritional supplement company. And that story of how we got started in Neolife is a story for another time. However, our involvement with Neolife totally changed my mind about supplementing with vitamins. So Larry added CalMag and garlic to his supplement program. And he was able to keep his blood pressure at a fairly even level, but it was still borderline high. His doctor said he could give it a little more time, and it was okay to not add the additional medication at that point. Now, we had been with Neolife for about a year when they came out with a supplement called salmon oil. One of the benefits, and see, that was, I believe that was in 1986. And one of the benefits of salmon oil was that it could possibly help high blood pressure. Larry started taking Neolife salmon oil according to the suggested amounts, which was 3 capsules daily. Exactly 3 months after being very faithful in taking salmon oil, his blood pressure dropped from about a 140 over 90 to somewhere in the 120s over 70s. It was amazing. He no longer needed to take high blood pressure medication after being on it for about 14 years. The neat thing about it was that it stayed down at a healthy level. Now, at that point, Larry's mother and his stepfather both started taking Neolife salmon oil. In exactly 3 months, both of their blood pressures dropped. Their doctors were a little reluctant, but they did lower their medication levels and frequency of doses. Now, one other quick blood pressure story. The last several years, we've had a considerable amount of stress in our lives. When I would go for my doctor's appointments, my blood pressure was up from the 115-ish over 70-ish, like it had been for years. Of course, I was taking my salmon oil, my CalMag, and most of the time was taking garlic allium complex, but only 1 tablet daily. Well, when I started, the one thing I started doing differently was I started taking 2 garlic allium tablets daily. And when I had my doctor's appointment, I would make sure I took one right prior to going for my appointment. My blood pressure always checks out right now. I had heard that if your blood pressure was too high and you needed to bring it down quickly, take garlic. It does seem to work. So, what supplements do I suggest that people take who are concerned about high blood pressure? Neolife Salmon Oil Plus, which has all 8 members of the omega-3 oils, and it is checked to be free of all toxins, including mercury. I also suggest Neolife's CalMag with 1,000 mg's of vitamin D. Vitamin D helps all of this work better. So you do need your sunshine vitamin. And the third thing that I suggest to address blood pressure is Neolife's Garlic Allium. Now, of course, I always suggest our basic supplement, which is Pro Vitality Plus, for an ideal foundational supplement. Now, I personally take all of these supplements, and I also do my best to eat a balanced diet, which is much better than it used to be. And I also take my high-quality, food-sourced Neolife supplements. I do these things so I will have the health and energy to be involved in other activities and to help others have a better life. I believe taking care of my health is honoring to God. I believe taking care of my health allows me to bring joy and happiness to friends and family. Would you please tell me in the comments how I'm doing and what you are doing to keep your blood pressure at a healthy level? That's it for today. Blood pressure in a nutshell.